Hello and welcome to the inaugural tutorial of making stellar things. If there are three things that I love, it is knitting, football, and my dog Stella, so it is only fitting that this first video be how to make a knit football dog toy. It's quick, easy, it's lots of fun, and she loves it, and I will show you how. Keep on watching.
Wow! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Incredible!
The beauty of the football dog toy is that it's super quick and easy to make. You need about 30 yards of brown yarn and about 5 yards of white yarn. I used medium worsted weight yarn, and then I used size 8 double pointed needles. You'll need 4 of them. You can use a different size if you're using a different weight of yarn, just adjust for the correct tension. Obviously scissors and a couple stitch markers and a yarn needle, just super basic things that you should probably have in your knitting kit. To fill this, I used just regular old fiber fill that I got from a craft store, and I did put a little squeaker in there. My dog loves squeaky toys. If you don't want to do that, I know a lot of people don't use squeaky toys for dogs, feel free to omit it. And then I contained them all in the bottom of a sock. So I just find that that makes it a little bit more durable, and you don't have the chance of the fiber fill falling out when your dog gets a little nibbly with it. Stella is not a power chewer, but she does like to nibble on toys. I've had knit toys that I've made for her that have lasted years and years. They're still going. They're a little dirtier than when they were new, but they're still totally functional. So if your dog is a power chewer, this might not be the right toy for you, but for just standard amounts of dog chewing and playtime, this should be totally adequate. So let's get started. You're going to start by casting on 6 stitches evenly across your 3 double pointed needles, joining them in the round and adding a stitch marker so you know where you began. Then you're going to alternate between just rows of knitting and rows where you increase. You're going to keep on with that pattern, and I will put the exact stitches that you should be doing for each round in the description as well as on my website. I chose to make the body of my toy 36 stitches around. This makes a nice medium-sized toy for my medium-sized dog. If you want to make a little bigger toy, totally fine. I'll put some numbers for how many stitches and how to get to that increase in the description and on my website. I wouldn't suggest going too much smaller, or it will be hard to work with and add a squeaker later if you're going that route. For this size, I knit just plain knitting rows until it got to about 3 3/4 inches from the beginning of the work. Since there were about 1 1/4 inches of increase rows and I want to have the same on the other end, that gives me about a 5-inch long toy. If you're working with a bigger size, you'll want to make a little bigger body, and I can put some numbers in the description and on my website, and you can also just kind of eyeball with what feels right. Once you're done with those just plain knitting rows, you're going to start stuffing. Put your sock in and stuff away. Be sure to put in the squeaker toy if you're using one, kind of about partway through. And you want to make it nice and stuffed. You don't want to overstuff it just yet, since it will make it harder to work with as you're doing decrease rounds. The decrease rounds are just like the increase rounds, where you're alternating between rows of decreasing stitches and just plain knit rows. And again, I will put the exact pattern for those in the description as well as on my website. Once you finish the round with 18 stitches, that's when you're going to finish off the stuffing. So make sure it's nice and full and has enough for those remaining few rounds that are yet to be knit. And to tie it off, I used a sewing needle and some thread and just kind of stitched around until it felt nice and secure. You can use a yarn needle and yarn. It'll make it a little bulkier, but it totally works. You could tie a knot, which would be even bulkier, but also works. I wouldn't suggest leaving it open just because you don't want any of that fiber fill to get out, but however feels best to close it off. And then once you finish that, that's when you're going to finish with those final alternating rounds to decrease, knit, and get down to 6 stitches. Once you get down to those final 6 stitches, you're going to tie it off, and with the loose end, I like to just kind of stuff it into the toy with your yarn needle. Cut it when you have a little bit of tension. The end will pop back on in there. It makes it nice and secure, and if that end ever does come out, you have plenty left to weave it back in. No need to do anything too fancy. To make the laces, you're just going to do a simple I-cord. I did a 3-stitch I-cord, And if you've never made I-cord before, it's super easy. Cast on 3 stitches, knit them, slide them to the other end of your double pointed needle, and just keep knitting. You don't want to change them to the other hand like you would during a typical, for typical knitting. You just want to knit, slide to the other end, and keep on going. And there's videos if you need help with that. I can link one in the description and on my website. After you've gotten a few inches of I-cord, you can eyeball whatever looks right on your football. Then you're going to tie it off, just super simple, and then using those ends, you're going to weave it on to your football. So put it in the place that you want it, and then just kind of stitch in and out with those 2 loose ends, and tuck the ends in as we did before. For the last bit of laces, you're going to take about 2 feet of yarn on your yarn needle. Start by weaving it in just about at the end of where you have the I-cord laces. You want to leave a couple inches of tail, and then you want to stitch out about 2 stitches over the top of the I-cord, and then in about 2 stitches as well. Then you want to go back under that, underneath the I-cord, inside the football. And then you want to put your yarn needle back in and go up about 2 rows. Then repeat that process going over the I-cord, under the I-cord, and up 2 rows. So it's about 2 stitches, 2 rows. Keep on going until you get to the end. Once you get to the end, you're going to weave in all of those loose ends that you have, and that's it. Thanks for watching. It would mean the world to me if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll keep posting about all different things that I'm making, and you can keep on making stellar things of your own.